Good afternoon, everybody. It's Brooke Goff with Brooke's Bites. So it has been a while. Why? Because I have been traveling all over the country, meeting amazing people and talking to them about their favorite baked goods. So I can make them here and talk to you guys about the interview. So I went to the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe a few weeks ago, and I met with some big names, and I didn't ask about stats or the things that the public wants to know, the sexy things. I wanted to know what the real sexy stuff was. What is your baked good go-to? And then I want to obviously play some of the interview here. And then I want to talk about it and maybe do some playing around with some of the recipes. So one of my favorite interviews I did was Jason Kelce. Jason and I talked about family. We talked about retirement, not really stats, talked about golf because they were there for golfing. But his answer was, of course, Mama Kelce's cookies. So lastly, I have a segment. It's called Brooke's Bites on Facebook, okay? So I bake and I talk about any topics. I'm a huge baker, huge.
What's your favorite thing to bake?
Honestly, I make a mean cookie. Your mom's making cookies.
Big cookie maker?
So
Yeah.
I found Mama Kelce's recipe.
Okay.
I'm going to make a stab at it, but I didn't want to do it until I got to talk to you. Because I want to talk about it a little bit in your interview when I go on. How good are they?
I'll do delicious, yeah.
The recipe is online. Whether it's legit or not, we'll find out. But are they supposed to be dense or supposed to be crunchy? Like, what is it?
I would say a pretty standard cookie. It's not too thin and crispy. It's definitely not soft. I think it's got that good balance of the bottom that's on the baking sheet that's crisped up.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit of gooiness in the middle.
So sticks to your teeth a little bit, right?
Yeah.
All right.
You want to balance, like everything.
Mama Kelce went on the Today Show and brought that recipe, which I have with me now. But I wanted to turn it up because this is Mama Kelce's recipe, right? So Brooke's Bites, we want to put a little turn on it. So what I did is firstly used her recipe, Mama Kelce, thank you. And I'm going to name these cookies Mama Kelce Golden Baby Luchador Cookies. Now, that might not make sense to a lot of you, but if you watch the New Heights podcast, you will know that there's meaning behind Golden Baby and Luchador. So how did I bring in Golden Baby and Luchador to change these cookies, right? Jason and Travis, I think, will approve of this. I'm going to bring in for the Golden Baby, 2 tablespoons of honey. Adds a nice little sweetness to it. These cookies are really moist already. Mom Kelce does a great job. Adds just a little more sweetness to counteract my Luchador ingredient, which is a 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder. So I promise you, and Jason and Travis, or Jason, since we did the interview, if you want to hit me up and give me an address, I will send you these, and Mama Kelce too. You can tell me what you think. So let's walk through making Mama Kelce's cookies and then adding my little twist and when, and then I'm going to show you my finished product, and you'll see some of the interview here. So firstly, this is actually a really thought out recipe that Mama Kelce gave to the Today Show. She uses cake flour, which is really interesting to me. I understand the why, and it actually does make a difference. I actually like the addition of that ingredient. She also does nuts and 2 different kinds of chocolate chips, 3 sticks of butter, but instead of softened butter, you're going to see here it's melted. What you do is you take the 3 sticks, 1 stick at a time, and you melt it in the microwave. You're going to put it in your mixer. Just let it kind of chill out for 20 minutes. You don't ever want to use super piping hot butter, okay? You throw that in here, and again, just let it sit until we start the rest of our ingredients. Now, she also takes her baking soda and dissolves it first to give it a little head start. I love that. I actually might steal that idea. Thank you, Mama Kelce. And so you're going to see some of this. It's a very involved recipe, but the cookies are great. I hope my finished product is obviously approved for, Kelce approved. So let's go. So firstly, you're going to melt the 3 sticks one at a time. Do not throw 3 sticks in the same bowl and say, I'm going to save some time. You're not. It's not going to work out right. You don't want to overcook the butter. So 1 stick, pour it in, 1 stick, pour it in, 1 stick, pour it in, which I did. Now you're going to take your brown sugar, okay? And we're going to post this recipe when we're done with it too. And you're going to take your white granulated sugar and you're going to mix these. This is my Incarcer mixer. You're going to mix these for about 4 minutes. And you're going to let it get all, juiced up and all that good stuff. It's going to kind of get a little fluffy. Now, I want to talk to you about the actual and overall ingredients of this recipe. It's actually very similar to a chocolate chip cookie that you would normally have or see. But again, these additional ingredients that she adds, this cake flour and this baking soda dissolvable, it does do something to the overall texture and consistency of the cookie. And again, it's a very, and I almost forgot to tell you, the awesome ingredient, my favorite ingredient to use in chocolate chip is cinnamon. So there's quite a bit of cinnamon, which I'm telling you, when we tried it, really, really, really balances well with the honey that I put in and the chili powder I put in. And she doesn't use semi-sweet chocolate. So that's interesting too. She uses my favorite Ghirardelli, but she uses milk chocolate and white chocolate chips, which is, again, another change, but something that obviously I respect her for, as they're delicious. Pecans she uses as well. I'll tell you, I make chocolate chip cookies with walnuts quite often. A lot of people like them. In fact, I was so shocked because it's actually, for me, it's a big upstate New York thing when I'm from. My grandmother used to make them and put nuts in them all the time. So when I came to Connecticut, y'all just have chocolate chips. There's no nuts in them. For me, there's usually nuts in their chocolate chip cookies. So I actually did an interview, and we'll talk about this interview with A-Rod. And A-Rod likes a chocolate chip cookie. And then, man after my own heart, he says, I love, a little nuts in them. And I'm like, where are you from? Because it is super, super, super upstate New York. I'm sure it's obviously other parts of the world as well. But a little chocolate chip cookie needs a little bit of nuttiness as well. Obviously, always disclose there's walnuts or almonds or whatever you put in them, because a lot of people have allergies these days. So just disclose it. But obviously, it's a really good addition. So right now, we're just blending the white sugar, brown sugar, and the butter. Now, understand this recipe is going to be super moist because you have 3 sticks of butter, moist agent, and you have brown sugar, which has molasses in it. So as they cook and they melt, we'll say, the brown sugar adds that extra little moisture to the ingredients, okay? So and then you have vanilla, and then you have eggs, and you have all these other things, all right? So next we're gonna add our vanilla, and then we're gonna mix, next we're gonna add our egg, and then we're gonna mix. So we have 1 egg and an egg yolk. And I'm gonna tell you all how I obviously do all that. My recommendation is always, always, that when you're separating eggs, okay, you do the yolk over a sink or over another bowl. Second, you're going to actually crack another egg into a bowl. So I'm going to kind of walk through with you with that. You don't want to lose a shell. It kills it for you. But you also don't want too much white to get in, because if it's saying a yolk, it's a yolk for a reason. So again, see all the shell like breaking all apart on me? Don't really care though, because we just want that yolk. So and whenever you have a recipe that calls for you separating, always, always add the yolk first. So, yolk, good to go. And then we have our regular egg. Again, I like to show off, and I like to crack it right into the recipe, but you never wanna get a shell in there because it's gross. So then you just burned all that time, especially when you're melting butter, 1 stick at a time. All right, so we're gonna put that aside. Now we have our vanilla. Sorry, Mama Kelce, I don't measure out my vanilla, but I promise a little extra never hurts anybody, especially when we add my chili powder, okay? All right, so at this point, we're adding our honey, all right? So we're gonna add our 2 tablespoons, our golden baby honey, here. And you can measure this right over it, guys. It's no big deal. This, again, is another moisture agent, though. But honey binds together, it stays together, so it's no big deal. There we go. All right. So we have all that kind of going in there. Now, when that's going, we're going to take our flour. This is my all-purpose flour here. And we're going to mix it with our cake flour, or you can use pastry flour. Cake flour is better. I always love Bob's Red Mill. It's my absolute favorite. I recommend it for anybody that's obviously looking, what should I buy, King Arthur. Bob's Red Mill is just organic, and it's really great. And then honestly, my cookies, just for some reason, come out better. I think it's just a better overall ingredient. You have your baking powder, cinnamon, my salt, and what's next? 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder. And let her go. All right, so now we're gonna use our ball whisk here. Every kitchen should have this. Mama Kelce or Jason, for Kylie, if you guys don't have this, I will happily send you one. I get it at Sur La Table. It's great, and it allows you to mix these dry ingredients and not have the ingredients come back in your face. Obviously, if you get a little crazy, they're gonna come out a little bit, but it really just keeps everything centered to the bowl, which is awesome. So we're gonna mix all of these here. And then we're gonna slowly add it to our, here we go, just turn this down because nobody wants to wear it, obviously. You're supposed to do a half a cup at a time. I just kind of go, give it a minute. Not really a minute, I always say a minute, it's not, a couple seconds. Go again. And as long as you don't see it sticking to the sides too much, you're fine. KitchenAids tend to stick to the side more than my mixer, so it definitely is important that you do scrape the sides of that a little more. But see, everything's binding super nicely. There we go. So like kind of just let it mix together. Awesome. Then we're gonna add, I'm gonna turn this up just a bit now that I'm not gonna wear it. See, this mixer, it's my favorite, but it's awesome because it keeps everything kind of more centered, so it prevents it from really building up on the side, so I'm getting a really good mix right now. I'm gonna add our chocolate chips, milk chocolate, which I tend to not cook with most of the time, but in trying these cookies, it works. White chocolate chips. And my pecans. There we go. Let it whirl. Now, this is what's gonna happen next. You can refrigerate these for 3 hours or overnight. I always recommend overnight, but here's the mistake people make. One, I don't believe in using a spoon to measure out the cookies. Take your hand, wash your hands, take your hand, roll, maybe a little flour on them is fine if you need to, but most of the time you don't. Roll the cookies into a ball, 12 on a cookie sheet, bake, okay? 10 to 12 minutes. Now, but with the refrigeration, I recommend overnight. You really want this, there's so many great ingredients in here. You want it to really take shape and hold and flavor and let all the flavors mix. You got chili powder in here, honey, cinnamon, all kinds of amazing things that work well together. So let it, let it just sit around. Wake up in the morning, have your coffee, then take it out. I would let this get room temperature for 90 minutes. You never want to use refrigerated dough that's hard. It should feel just as if you never refrigerated at all after you take it out. So most people make the mistake of trying to use really cold dough in baking it. Mistake, cookies are not going to do what you want them to do. Let the dough hang out and chill out, right? Take it out again, have your coffee, deal with the kids, read the newspaper, whatever it is, then go back when they're obviously done and you're going to want to, take them out and then bake them at that point. So right now, this is perfect. I'm gonna give you a up and down shot of this here. This is what you wanna see. Everything is really mixed nicely together here. And what we do is we're just gonna scrape this off of the beaters, put it in the fridge overnight, and tomorrow you're gonna have great cookies. And I actually have some, right? This is official first batch of Mama Kelce Golden Baby Luchador cookies, okay? So here they are, here. So again, Jason, Travis, Mama Kelce, hit me up. I'll send you a batch. Mama Kelce, feel free to take some of my ingredients and try it for yourself. And they're delicious. Thank you for Jason for chatting with me. And thank you, Mama Kelce, for sharing your recipe. Have a great day, guys. Check out our next interview soon.